Welcome to the funnel. My name is John Shane. I'm president of Alignment Group. This is episode number 219 of the funnel. Why sales managers don't coach. Before we begin, just want to remind you to head on over to alignment-group.com/the funnel and subscribe. If you subscribe, we will send you the show notes weekly. Comes out every Thursday morning. Our agenda: no time, measurement, confusion, don't know how, selling is the priority, and afraid. So let's start with the easy one: no time. They say no time because I've been a sales manager and I know what it takes to be successful. I know the push-pull of what's happening internally in the company, from meetings to senior management requirements to administrative stuff to hiring salespeople, et cetera, to what happens in the field, problems with reps, and all of that good stuff. It does eat into your time. So I just want to cover a few of those things and maybe make some suggestions on how you can kind of navigate those waters. First and foremost, it's the smartphone addiction. And I believe that to be a big problem. So if you go out today and you walk around the street, there's people like walking into you and bumping into lampposts and stepping out in traffic. And there's all these stories about folks that have taken selfies and fallen off cliffs or walked out into traffic and got themselves run over. You sit in a restaurant, look around the room, everybody's on their smartphone. So I will tell you this, from a smartphone perspective, from someone who uses a smartphone all the time, my suggestion would be to put the smartphone down. Yes, it's great to have updates and information at your fingertips, notifications, et cetera, at a moment's notice. You can look at the weather. You can get, a Facebook update, Instagram. From a business perspective, it's the emails, it's the text messages, the phone calls. And where does it end? You know, my recommendation is you focus on your team. Focus on your team, or you focus on the task at hand. I'm not going to tell you to get rid of the smartphone. I will tell you this. I turn it off in meetings. I turn it off when I meet with clients. I stick it in my bag, whatever I'm carrying that day. So I have a briefcase and I have a backpack, and I actually turn it off and stick it in the bag. And I don't turn it back on until I leave the office, until I leave their presence. I don't want the interruptions. I don't want the noise, the buzzing or the ringing. But more importantly, I want to focus on the task at hand. I don't bring it to the dinner table. I don't bring it to conversations I have with family and friends. I just don't do it. So I think dropping the smartphone addiction is a good thing. And don't tell me you turn it over on the table so it's buzzing or ringing and you apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to turn the ringer off. Just turn it off. The other thing that eats up a lot of time is the emails, right? There's tons of emails. And I say that with all the love in my heart for folks that love to return emails right away. My suggestion would be to prioritize your emails and cut down on the immediate responses. You using email as a communication tool, I get that. But most emails don't need to be replied to right away. The world will survive without that. Set aside some time early in the morning or late afternoon or evenings to get all that stuff done. Put the phone down, put the emails away. Text messaging is a great tool when you really need to get a hold of somebody. So I kind of have some rules with that. When I'm in a meeting, I don't get text messages because my phone's off, and I understand that. I don't respond to text messages while I'm driving. And it's funny, some people will text me 4, 5, 6 times in a row because I'm not responding. Driving. I don't know if you understand that I'm not going to text you back. And I don't look at text message as a priority. Some people do. So they'll look at it, they'll text somebody and say, okay, I need an immediate response because that's what this is designed to do. My suggestion would be to put that away as well. You don't need to respond to every text message, every problem that comes your way. This is about a discipline. This is about owning the technology instead of the technology owning you. Remember when smartphones and emails and laptops and PCs, and for those of you millennials, all of that stuff really started to evolve about 15 years ago. And it was supposed to save us time and make our jobs easier. Well, it hasn't. In my opinion, it hasn't. It's actually made things worse because everyone wants an immediate answer now. And there's so many ways to communicate and so many choices out there, and different people like to communicate in different ways. It makes it problematic. I think you get back to one-on-one relationships and put the smartphone down, ignore the emails for a while, and ignore the text messaging. I want to talk about meetings for a second because meetings seem to be the bane of sales managers' existence. I would suggest you write down all the meetings that you have on a weekly and monthly basis and start to cut back. Determine what's real and what's not. And I would sit down with your boss or senior management people or internal people and say, I can't attend this 4-hour ops meeting every Tuesday. Why can't you do that? Because it's a half a day. And I have things to do. Maybe once a month, you could send me a summary. I think there are way too many meetings. Oftentimes, meetings last really long time. And they go in 50 different directions because they're not managed properly. I've had the opportunity to have and conduct meetings and attend meetings at various organizations throughout my career and in this sort of consulting role. And I will tell you, one of the companies that I think does it best is HubSpot. I've been to HubSpot for meetings with everyone from the CEO of the company right on down to sales reps and sales managers. And here's what I've noticed. Their meetings last no more than 30 minutes. You have an agenda, you stick to it, and the meeting's over. There's no 15 or 20 minutes of chit-chat. There's no rambling in 15 directions. It's bang, bang, bang. Very, very productive. Loved it. You should consider that. A lot of times managers don't have time because they're spending an inordinate amount of time on internal problems. Everything from paperwork processing to naughty salespeople, according to admin folks. Again, that stuff needs to get cut back. And then, of course, there's the customer problems. How many of those customer problems can be resolved through somebody else in your organization? Maybe it's a billing issue or a service issue or something to that effect. How many customer problems can sales reps solve? Again, all of these things add up to eating up your time. I would sit down and I'd keep a journal. This is my recommendation. Keep a journal for a couple of weeks. I would do it maybe even for a month and write down every hour of the day what you did and why you did it. And a pattern will begin to emerge. And then you look at that and begin to cut things out of it. It's my recommendation on the no time excuse for not coaching. Measurement. And what do I mean by measurement? There's no program to measure coaching, right? It's not measured. Success in the sales world from the top down is all about the number. Hit the number and everybody's fine. How you get there is up to you. I see that a lot. That's not a winning culture. From a company perspective, if you own the company and you have a sales manager in place, then you're at the mercy of how well that sales manager performs. And you are to some degree at managers and reps. But what I mean by that is you don't have a program in place that promotes coaching, that promotes the long play. A culture of coaching is a winning culture. So if a really good sales manager happens to leave your company and you have real good programs in place, you can successfully replace them. And so it's always sad to lose a very good performer and high performer, but that's the reality of the world we live in. And if you don't have a program in place, how can you replace them? Let's say you don't. Now you have to start all over again. You're at the mercy of the next manager that comes in. No one measures it because maybe it's not deemed as important or they don't know how to measure it. I don't know. But I will tell you, without that culture in place, without a measurement program that says, hey, we expect our managers to coach, and this is how much time we expect you to coach, and this is the way we're going to train you how to coach. This is the way we want you to do it. And we're going to get feedback from you. We're going to get feedback from your reps, and we're going to manage this program. The number is the ultimate goal, but we have to have a plan and a program to get there, and that program includes coaching. We have standards that we're going to set up to be successful. Every manager in this company is expected to coach. If there are no standards or no program, you're not measured on it, and no one really cares about it, it's a problem. Managers aren't going to do it. Good ones will do it. Good ones will grab it and say, you know what? This is how I can have long-term success. This is how I can build my career. Other managers won't because, one, they haven't been trained on it. Two, they haven't been taught how to do it, right? So why would they? If there's no program and there's no measurement, they're not being graded on it per se, why should they care? So it has to be a company thing. Confusion. Oftentimes I've seen sales manager go through the coaching process and they get confused about what it means to coach. So I'm going to start, I have my list here on the video. I'm going to start at the bottom and talk about inspection versus coaching. Inspection is not coaching, and coaching is not inspection. Of course you're going to inspect. Of course you're going to have pipeline conversations and meetings and forecast meetings. You can go back in some of my podcasts to see that. Okay? You're not there to inspect. You're there to coach. You want to have the post-activity discussions. You want to be in the car with them or in the field with them, whatever you're doing. If you're managing an inbound rep that's on the phone all the time, you want to sit there and listen to the conversations and coach them through what just happened. You're not inspecting how many calls they make. You're not inspecting the deal. You're having discussions around a specific scenario, a specific deal, and you're coaching them through that. How did this go? How did this particular meeting pan out for us? What went well? What didn't go well? How would you handle this next time? What do you think about their response here? What would you do so you're asking a lot of questions and then you're helping guide them to the responses. After the deal, when you do the autopsy, that's not coaching. That's an autopsy. What went wrong? What went right? Coaching's in the moment for me. Coaching is ground level, rolling up your sleeves, getting in the field with the troops and having the conversation. Yes, you can coach through a situation. If a rep comes in and says, hey, this is what I'm going through in my specific deal and I need some help. Absolutely coach through that. But don't turn it into don't turn it into an inspection session. Don't start picking apart the little nuances. You're trying to coach them through success there. So if you're in that coaching moment, stay there. Don't confuse coaching with inspection. Sometimes it morphs into that because you see it's a train wreck and you're like, holy moly, they're not doing any of this right. This is a problem. Park it. There's probably something you're not doing if that's the case. And think about how you perform your inspection process. How do you go through your forecast and pipeline meetings? What's being done with the CRM, et cetera, et cetera. And then come back and say, hey, here's how we're going to conduct these meetings. Don't go back to the coaching session. Why? Why? Very simple. They're going to remember that, and they're going to be less likely to be open to coaching because they think you're going to use it as a weapon. So don't get confused about why you're there. Okay? Now think about it from a sports perspective. You're coaching a game. They're on the field. They're doing what they need to do. Is that the time to start inspecting every little thing and telling them every little thing they're doing wrong? No, you're in the middle of the game. Try to keep it focused on here's what happened in this situation. Here we need to move here and stand there and do this and do that. Okay, that's a coaching process. I want this player in for this play. That's coaching, not let's stop the game and start yelling at you because you didn't do something 100% the way it's supposed to be. There's a different process for that. Sales managers don't know how to coach, and they don't want to admit it. So a lot of them who aren't coaching, they don't know how. That's why they're not doing it. They've never been taught how to coach by anyone, including their manager, and their manager probably wasn't coached. They have no program in place to point to. They have poor modeling, right? I just said that. There's no mentor. There's no manager prior to them. There's no one to look to coach. So what do you do in those situations if you're a manager? Spend some time and get some help for yourself. Don't wait for the company to do it. Now, I can tell you, well, go find another job. Yes, that could be something you do. But I'm not going to say, I don't know your particular situation. And I will tell you that there are more companies like this than there are companies that focus on coaching. It's starting to change, and it's starting to come around, and the cultures are changing. It's becoming a requirement, but it's not everywhere. And depending on the industry you're in, I see a lot industry-wide stuff where a particular industry, this is the way we've always done it, because they just keep recycling the same people at different companies. So if you don't know how to coach, you've never been taught, there's no program in place, you have a poor modeling or no mentor, then find a way to get some coaching on that and get some help. I help managers learn how to coach is what I do. Okay, sure. Is it a cheap advertisement for me? Maybe. But you need to find a way to get that done. And I recommend this to salesmen. I've learned a lot from people in my career. I've had some luck there, but I've also been in some pretty tough situations where I didn't. I had a situation where management, senior level management, built their programs off of Google stuff. And we're going to do this today. And read one article and became an expert. That's really terrible. But I've had situations where I've learned a lot and been coached a lot. So I've had both. But in those areas I didn't know, I taught myself. I went out and I found the resources to help me get better at what I do. And I paid for them. So don't sit back and point the finger and say, hey, I don't coach because I don't know how, and I've never been taught, and there's nothing I can do about it. That's baloney. You can learn how to do that. But this is one of the reasons why managers don't jump in and do it. So if you own a business and you say, hey, they don't coach, they probably haven't been taught. They don't know how to. So they need someone or something or a program to coach. You need to start changing your culture, et cetera, et cetera. One of the big reasons sales managers don't coach is selling is the priority. Low-hanging fruit. Okay? I'm going to say low-hanging fruit here. They get involved in the big deals. Why? Because they were good salespeople. Most of them were pretty decent salespeople, or really good salespeople. And this is where they get their juice from. They get involved in the big deal. I'm the hero. I just went out and slayed the dragon, brought the meat back to the cave. They pound their chest. It's easier to get involved in a big deal. So that's the priority. They get involved in the reps' big deals or the reps' deals in the field. I know managers that had a team of reps that couldn't close anything. The manager went out and got involved and closed the deals. Made them feel really good about themselves. Didn't help. But when you spend all your time doing that, you can't coach. Because they're longing for the good old days when they went out and sold. Let's face it. You need to decide what is it that you want to do. Yes, you're surviving, you're hitting the number, but you're not going to grow from a career perspective. And it's not sustainable. You can only do so much as a single person helping your team. And eventually, it works against you. And your numbers start to drop, and then you're in real trouble. So selling shouldn't be the priority here. I think a lot of sales managers are afraid to do this. Yep, they're afraid. It's okay. Poor confidence. They don't have a lot of confidence in themselves. No self-confidence that they can do this because they haven't been taught or trained. They don't know where to get started. They might make a mistake. What if I make a coaching mistake? So I can give you an example. Maybe not a sales example, right? This is not a sales example, but this is a real life example. So my youngest plays lacrosse, and I don't know anything about lacrosse. I played a lot of sports growing up. Played rugby in college, played hockey, club level hockey. Loved it. Never played lacrosse in my life, but they needed somebody to help the team. So I'm volunteering. Kids asking me, Coach, what do I do in this situation? I'm like, huh? I'm reading books. I'm watching videos. The head coach, I'm asking him all kinds of questions. I'm figuring out the stuff that he wants to accomplish, and then I'm making suggestions that might help move the practice along. But I'm still not where I need to be. I don't have a lot of confidence in myself in that, but I'm working on it. I'm not afraid to get started, or that I am afraid I might make a mistake with some of these kids, and I don't want to teach them something that's wrong. Okay? But that's an example of the fear. Oftentimes you see managers are afraid of the pushback, right, that they're going to get from their reps. What's this? You're coaching? Or that the sales rep might know more than them. Hogwash. Take the time and put the effort into learning and slowly integrate it into your work. Create some consistency with it. It doesn't have to be right out of the gate. It doesn't have to be the full program. Start to develop it. Don't be afraid to get started. Stop on by to alignment-group.com/thefunnel and subscribe. And again, we'll send you the show notes. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter at ShayJohnR. Just look up Alignment Group on Facebook. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me, jshay at alignment-group.com. Of course, the website. A lot of cool stuff on our website. And one of the things that I'm real excited about is some of the offers we have in our library, ebooks, stuff like that. Stop by and check some of that stuff out. Any comments or suggestions, feel free to reach out to me. That's what we're here for. I get a lot of feedback, and I love it. So keep it coming. Thank you for subscribing. Until next time, keep filling the funnel.